Okay, 2 more minutes remaining. So I don't know where you guys are on your journey, whether you've already got yourself a MicroGen, whether you're about to get yourself one, whether you've been using it for a while and want to increase the way in which you're doing things, then this presentation is going to help you no matter what, because we're going to go into all kinds of things about it. And that'll give you an understanding as to how it can be used and how it could be therefore beneficial for yourself as you carry on with your own healing plan, your own healing journey, and the way in which you're doing things. The title screen you see in front of you is actually quite informative because it shows you on the bottom left-hand side how small the device is. And it's amazing that the device can be that small. You'll also see the fact that it's got the 60,000 programs already. And also you can see what the software roughly looks like on the bottom right-hand side. So it gives you a feel for what HeaWea MicroGen is really about. But what we're going to do is we're going to go into greater detail and to help you to understand what this is there for. Okay, you can shove it in your pocket. You can wear it on a lanyard around your neck. Some people put them in a bum bag or a fanny pack with the cable sticking out of the zip, so they can then attach the electrodes to their body. This thing is small, but just because it's small and it's made of white plastic, it doesn't mean to say it's not one of the most powerful things you've ever seen in your entire life. Okay, it is an amazing innovation. And I've got one myself. I use it myself a lot. So what is it there for? It can be used to relieve various different problems within the body and to help customers' bodies become more energized and energy balanced, because we have a number of different treatments. We got the Rife, we got the frequency-specific microcurrents, which is very good for ATP production. We've also got the zapping functionality and the blood purifying functionality. So it's got so much going on with it, with a built-in 60,000 free programs. That's quite a lot. And you can also customize programs, create your own programs. The operation is very simple by comparison with Spooky 2. And it's, of course, incredibly portable, very easy for anyone to be able to get their head around and to use. All right. And people like this device because of what it does for them. Very quick to learn, very easy to operate, free software updates because the company will provide a new version of the software to download, and then you can just download it and run it on your Windows-based computer. And it has the amazing effects of the Hold the Clock Zapper, blood Purifier, and the fantastic science of Royal Raymond Rife that we've all come to know and love as we've experimented with Spooky 2. The purpose of the high power and the low power modes is for when you're doing different things. High power can be used for rifing, and also I think that's also for the Hold the Clock as well. Low power is for frequency specific microcurrents, which is a low power mode which has different properties, because what it does is it helps to stimulate production of ATP and provide healing to tissues. It's only got one button. All right, why would it only need one button? Because that's all you need. You press and hold it to turn the device on. You press and hold it to turn the device off. You do short presses to increase the voltage. And you can also use different forms of contact accessories to operate the device. Now, when you're in the software, which you'll download from HeaWea.com, you'll see it's got some buttons at the bottom, and you can quickly and easily choose what you want to do. On the bottom left-hand side, there is a blood purifier button. All you have to do is to plug your HeaWea MicroGen into your computer via the USB cable, plug the TENS pads or contact cable in, and click on blood purifier, and it'll start running. Same with Zapper, it'll start running. I'll point this out again later on, but you'll see that there's white dots on 3 of those blue buttons and a yellow dot on 1 of those buttons. The white dot refers to the white cable or the silver cable, and the yellow dot refers to the golden cable. So you change the cable that you're using, you're changing the functionality of the device. Blood purifier and Zapper, that's pretty much standalone. Okay, what you do is you press the button on the software, that will load the program into the HeaWea MicroGen, and then you're up and running. Requires no extra work apart from using the buttons below. With the low power cable and the high power cable button, you've got different things going on, and you'll be selecting frequency sets from the database and the right cable, either the golden one or the silver one, and then you can run your programs. So on the right-hand side, you'll see an illustration of what the HeaWea MicroGen looks like from below. A socket for the TENS power cable, as well as a socket for the Type-C USB charger, as well as the reset button. The USB cable is used to not only provide power for the device to charge it up, but also to deliver the information from the Windows-based software into the MicroGen so you can then run your programs. When you buy it, it will already come with a good charge, but give it a top up, because that will be a good thing to do for the battery health and also just for the device in general. So you'll plug it straight into your computer and let it run for a while until it's fully charged. When it's completely flat, it will take about 5 hours to charge up. When in operation, it can run all day. We're talking about nearly 16 hours, so it's a good device. You can apply the TENS pads to your body for overnight sessions as well, which means the quantity of time in your 24-hour period when you can be taking treatments gets greatly expanded. This is a contact method. And so, you need to use the right cable for the job. And here's an illustration of the two different cables. One has silver terminals, one has gold cables. The gold cable is for low power operation, which is frequency specific microcurrent. So you can have the right frequencies, but you have a lower power. So you're increasing ATP production and assisting the actual body to go through healing through increasing health. But silver is for high power. That's for your Bob Beck blood purifying. That's for hold the clock zapping, and that's for Rife operations. Okay, so you change the cable, it changes the functionality of the device from frequency specific microcurrents up to high power and rifing and zapping. So most Rife applications require the silver cable. The gold cable, again, FSM. FSM is good because it can actually be used on the face, on the neck, and other areas where you can't use the silver cable. Because you wouldn't want to use the silver cable around the head because it would affect via contact the thyroid, the eyes, and the brain, and you want to protect these organs. But when using frequency-specific microcurrents, you won't actually end up damaging the thyroid, the eyes, and the brain. So the gold cable is safe, but it would lack some killing power, which you would want to get from the zapping, the blood purifying, and of course, through Rife applications. When using the silver cable, never place the TENS pads near the heart or above the neckline. Okay? And you can expand your functionality of contacts using the contact gloves, using the contact socks, the bands you can put around your wrist or around your leg. Of course, TENS pads, and of course the metal cylinders, the hand cylinders, which we also use for Spooky 2 and can be very applicable to using for the HeaWea MicroGen. One more quick note on the TENS pads. There are people who place these either side of a glass or a jam jar and place water in the jam jar so that they can use the HeaWea MicroGen with the silver cable to do frequency imprinting of water. Other people would also put a crystal into the water in the glass and treat the crystal that way as well. So the TENS pads have extra functionality with the HeaWea MicroGen than you would be able to get otherwise. It's always good to have yourself a selection of contact equipment on stock so that you can change your methods as you see fit. So now we're having a look at the screen of the software itself. It's got some familiar things about it. At the bottom, you can see that there is an encyclopedia area. I will switch over to my actual software so you'll be able to see that in operation better. But also you'll see that there are frequency sets in the software, such as Candida 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they have stars beside them. The stars are important because they are what the users say is the most effective frequency sets for those treatments. So you can experiment with others, or you can use the ones that the users say works best. Okay? All you have to do is to do your search in the search bar, select the ones you want, click the green triangle, the arrow pointing to the right, and it will appear on the right-hand side. And that will be your chain of frequency sets, which you can then run through clicking on your low power or high power button when the right cable is fitted to the device. Okay, so the software itself is Windows compatible and doesn't take up that much room on the hard drive. So if you're worried about space, it won't take up that much. And it can be used on many types of PCs or laptops, as long as it's Windows based, and so long as there's a USB port that you can plug the MicroGen into. It will then provide one-touch access to the Halder-Clark zapping, the blood purifying, the rifing, and the FSM. And it becomes quite an easy way of getting frequency therapy to your body. There are the buttons. I'm highlighting there the fact you've got one yellow button and 3 white buttons. So the white buttons is for your silver cable. Your yellow one is for your golden cable. Okay, does that make sense? Right, to use either the Halder-Clark Zapper or the Bob Beck Blood Purifier, you simply plug in your TENS cable, which will be silver. Attach your contact mode option, which is TENS pads, gloves, socks, or hand cylinders, to the TENS cable. Plug the USB cable into your PC or laptop. With the software running, turn on the MicroGen, and then click on the Zapper or Blood Purifier. It requires very little setup. That's like a preset. Okay, you just click on Zapper, click on Blood Purifier, and you're fine. The frequencies will start running immediately on the MicroGen device. So you'll be taking your treatment at the moment that the information has been sent from your computer to your HeaWea MicroGen. Then it's just a question of selecting the power level. And that means pressing the individual button on the device quickly a number of times to change the number of green dots, which is the power level. Now, on this illustration here, you can see where the power button is, and you can see where the power lights are. I want to explain what those lights mean shortly in terms of voltage and how they affect frequency. There is a reason that level 1 is used for blood purification and zapping, because that's very close to the original voltage that Halder-Clark used. And number 3, which is higher up and more voltage, is used for rife applications. Now, this image teaches you that as you increase the voltage, either on frequency-specific microcurrents or on the silver cable for the rife applications, you can go up in voltage, 10 volts, 20 volts, 30 volts, 40 volts to 60 volts. I kid you not, 60 volts, okay? Or you can go 5 volt, 10 volt, 15 volt, 20 volts, and 30 volts as you increase the power with the golden cable. On the left-hand side, you can see that there are frequency numbers, and it shows you that there are much higher frequencies at the lower voltages than there are at the higher voltages, which means that higher voltage gives you the harmonics of the frequency you require, but it will be a lower harmonic. So you'll have to experiment and see how your body is reacting to that and see whether you're better off on a lower power, but a more accurate frequency, or a higher power and a less precise frequency. This is a greater consideration when doing things like such as running your Spooky 2 Generator X Pro biofeedback results through your MicroGen. Now, if you want to do good old-fashioned Raymond Rife method, once you set up the hardware through putting the MicroGen onto the PC, connecting the right cables, you open up the software and do a search for your condition using the search facility in the software. You can then double-click each entry so it appears on the box on the right-hand side, or you can click it once and click the arrow, and then it will go over to the right-hand side. It will only play back frequency sets which are in the right-hand window. If you select more than one set, you'll get a chain, and it will run one after the other, after the other, after the other. That's the button you use to move the frequencies from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. And this is a demonstration of me having moved things around. Now, in the middle of the screen towards the bottom, you've got this series of 4 green dots with an arrow pointing from the last one to the first one. That symbol means that your frequency chain will loop. If you were to press it again, you would then get like a straight line suggesting that it's just going to go through the chain once, and then it's going to stop. So you've got to decide whether you want to loop your treatments or whether you want to run it once. If you're doing things like frequency imprinting, you probably want to loop. If you're doing things such as treating yourself regularly for a persistent infection, then maybe you want to loop. Okay, if you've got time restraints or you're concerned about battery usage, maybe you want to go through just once and do that twice in a day, as opposed to having yourself being perpetually retreated with the same frequencies. So you can also adjust the dwell time, which is the number 180 you can see there in the middle on the left-hand side. That's 180 seconds, being 3 minutes, which is about the, the average duration, the average treatment for a Rife to do its stuff. So you have control, you have power. Then your task is to make sure you're using the right TENS cable and to have a suitable contact mode peripheral attached to the end of the TENS cable, and click the correct button for the right cable and frequencies to load into the MicroGen. Yellow dot for gold, white dot for silver. Quite simple. So this is a very easy, quick, simple way for technophobes to get into rifing. All right, if you're afraid of computers, if you're afraid of technology, you can use MicroGen because it's simple. With the blood purifier operation, you can place your TENS pads in one of these two configurations. The circulation will then be treated, and you'll then have a reduction of infection in the blood. Most of my personal treatments I do from either right arm or right wrist to left leg or left ankle. But we can use up creativity and intuition on this, and you can place pads either side of a painful area, for instance. If you're trying to go for a whole body, it's right wrist, left ankle. But you can also go either side of your abdomen if you want to just focus on the abdominal region, for as most of us tend to get digestive system infections. But what other places could you put the TENS pads for different effects? If you go onto Google and you type in, where do I place my Spooky 2 TENS pads, you'll end up with illustrations such as this. And it shows you places and orientations which you can experiment with so that you can work out what is the best way of treating the problem. The red smudge essentially is telling you where the power and where the goodness is going to go with those TENS pads arranged in those particular ways. Okay. Does that make sense? Hopefully. All right, now let's get back onto frequency-specific microcurrents and the forces of it. And MicroGen is very, very good for it. So if FSM is a type of treatment which you feel is right for you, then definitely MicroGen is something you need to think about or get your hands on. There are some conditions that are good for FSM. All right. You can type in FSM and you'll get lots of lovely answers as to things which can work with it. Just look on the screen there. Things for the spinal cord, spinal fluid, solar plexus, nerves, fluoride poisoning. There's lots of stuff for which FSM can be used for. Then you just need to download the software for free, have a search through it for free, and see if there's anything else that you require or would like to get your head around. What does it do? Now, ATP is important. It is the molecule which is the fuel of energy for the cells, and it will then provide you with greater health and provides the cells with the ability to heal, to detoxify, to do all kinds of wonderful things. Relaxes the muscles and relieves aches and stiffness. So all of you health and fitness people out there, if you're someone who's gets delayed onset muscle soreness, for instance, you would probably want to use a HeaWea MicroGen to try and help yourself out via the FSM method. All right. Can be used above the neckline, unlike zapping and rifing. It encourages the natural healing of the body. It is good. Now, what about your own programs? Let's say you've gone online, you've done some research, maybe you've even bought some frequencies from another company, and you want to create for yourself a specific program. You can go to the Programs tab, the drop-down menu, click on Programs, and select New. You'll then get the option to be able to enter in your own program frequencies, which MicroGen will reproduce faithfully. As long as they're comma separated, add a title and description, save it, and you'll find it in your programs list. Quite simple, quite easy to do. It just requires a bit of research to work out what frequencies you require. This is basically what the program creation thing looks like. You type in a name, you type in your frequencies, you type in a description. I don't know, an experiment I wanted to do on candida. And then you see basically what happens when you treat yourself with that. Okay. Now, if you go to another website called spooky2tools.com, and I recommend each and every single one of you write that down now, it will give you some more downloads, which you can use for the MicroGen on the Spooky 2 software, which means that you can do a biofeedback scan on Generator X Pro. You can upload it into your MicroGen, and you can carry it around with you and treat. All right, so you can use the importing Spooky 2 presets and databases into HeaWea as well. That's why I've got my terrain inside my HeaWea MicroGen software, because I chose that. I also downloaded the DH experimental frequencies for HeaWea MicroGen, and you can download an awful lot. The patch, which is useful for you to run anything from Spooky 2 on a HeaWea MicroGen, is worthwhile having a good look at as well. So now we've gone through the guts of the presentation. What we can do next is have a look at the Q&A in the chat and see what's happened there, so I can answer some of your questions. I will be interested to know when to go with the programs already available in the MicroGen and when to load programs from Spooky 2 onto the MicroGen. Then you have to start thinking like a therapist. You have to start thinking like a person who actually understands the body. You have to think about what programs are required because of their specific effects. Some of these you can get through research. Some of it you can get through checking the various Facebook groups. And sometimes it's just a question of brutal experimentation, see what happens, and take it one step at a time. Can you combine low and high programs together? And if so, sorry. Would you use the high power cord? No, I would not run high power and low power programs on the same cord. You cannot do that. If you want to do FSM, you have to do that with the FSM cord. And if you want to do high power, you have to do it with the silver cord. I see that you can use the gold cable for the face. I have sinusitis for 6 weeks. Wonder if there's a specific program that could be used for this. There probably is. Search the software. Okay. Sinusitis could be treated actually with the silver cables, with them placed on your shoulders beneath the neckline. I emphasize and stress beneath the neckline, and using the silver power cable, because sinusitis could be based upon an infection, and therefore you want to try and deal with the infection. Are the TENS pads more powerful delivery than the wristbands? The larger surface area you get, the better. So it might be worthwhile using the wristbands and the gloves if you want more power going into you. But TENS pads are adequate. You can get larger TENS pads as well, which will provide more power into the body. The difference between the MicroGen and the MirrorMate Mini Magic is the MirrorMate Mini Magic is exclusively a PEMF device, which has one program. All right, MicroGen is a Rife device and a Zapper, and it therefore is a different type of animal and is used in a different way. It has to be Windows. But there isn't a problem with Windows updates because you only put the information into the MicroGen and then unplug it. And that's all you do. So you don't have to worry about it dying on you. Yes, of course, smokers can do blood purifying with a Bob-back method. It's perfectly okay. FSM step-by-step is no different than regular Rife. It's just you put a different cable in and you click on the gold button rather than the silver button or the white button. Can FSM be used also with Spooky 2 Gen X and MX generators? You could lower the voltage down dramatically so that you could then get the same kind of effect. How low in frequency can it go? Very, very, very low. We're talking about like unbelievably low. Okay. So now I'll have a look at the chat. What can I do for arthritis? You would probably want to do frequency-specific microcurrents if you're using the HeaWea MicroGen, and you'd want to use arthritis programs and see how that helps. If not, then go onto the silver cable. This presentation will probably be going out on one of the various different Spooky 2 websites at some point. It is only the frequency-specific microcurrent, which is done with the gold cable. I don't think the duplicate frequencies are removed. Let me have a quick look at the software. Is there a... No, I don't think you can remove duplicates. Hang on a second. No, I don't think there's a functionality to remove duplicates. Now, you might see that as being a downside, but you're still getting treatments. I've done a lot of treatments with leaving the duplicates in, and I just got more healing. I don't know what the Rousseau effect on blood is, so I can't answer your question. Rulio effect on blood. But often it's just a question of let's do as much healing as you can and hope for the best, really. Can you present more pads positioning? Get on Google and have a quick look. Also, I think that the probably spooky2videos.com probably has a few videos about that. Can we use 2 microgens at the same time? Yes. You can use 10 microgens at the same time. They have a different waveform to regular Spooky 2, which means it's the only Spooky 2 type or the frequency device from the family of Spooky 2, HeaWea, and MirrorMate, which you can use many different contact devices on your body at the same time. So yes, you can do that. The frequency will be applied directly in its own waveform, no carrier. Toothache, put the TENS pads beneath your neckline, left and right, and run toothache frequencies. And that's with the silver cable. You could do the gold cable as well if you wanted, and have the TENS pads closest to the problem area. But the silver pad method will probably work the best. Okay. I think that's pretty much all the questions which have been asked so far. I personally strongly advise this device to anybody because it's just amazing. It's flexible. It's versatile. If you're an imprinting person, it's good for that. If you're someone who's interested in increasing ATP and reducing pain, it's great for that. If it does so much for you, all right, so give it a go. And I'm looking forward to seeing each and every single one of you talking about how wonderful it's been for you and how much goodness you've got from it. There are some people who run therapy organizations and they do most of their treatment using, let's say, Spooky 2, but they would then rent out some of these HeaWea MicroGens to some of their customers to say, okay, continue your treatment with this and then come back in a week. All right, so different people use them in different ways. Think creatively about how you can use this technology for yourself. And I do wish each and every single one of you a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas, a happy Yuletide, happy Saturnalia, whatever you want to call it. And I think we'll call this presentation over. We still have some questions and answers, do we? Do we really? Where are they? I can't see them. If I turn chat off, maybe it'll suddenly appear. Ah, there we go. Q&As, here we go. Yes, you can use 2 micro. Here's the frequency. Is there a specific site that we can go to learn more? Spooky2videos.com is very good. Definitely register with all the Facebook groups associated with HeaWea MicroGen and all those associated with Spooky 2, because you'll get more information that way as well. Did you say when running via frequencies that duplicates are removed? No, I don't think they are. How long does it take to do any imprinting? Some people leave it overnight. You're going to have to experiment with that. There will be a copy of this video going out somewhere soon. Okay. Is that now done? Okay. Any final questions? I think that's it now. Okay. Look after yourselves. Stay warm during the season of cold weather. And look after yourselves. Good health.